Hi, I'm Tom Johnston.
And I'm Pat Simmons, and we're the Doobie Brothers.
We're talking 36, 37 years now since the inception of the Doobie Brothers.
Not quite that long.
Oh,
36.
yeah.
We just crossed into 36.
36. Is there an actual anniversary date that you...
If there, well, there is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Put it that way. I don't know.
Do you consider the start of the band 69 or 1970?
70.
Yeah.
I mean, the band didn't really do anything. I mean, we played. I'm telling you, we didn't do anything. But the band really came together, to the best of my knowledge, anyway, in 70.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we started gigging and stuff. And then that was when we did that first tape up at Pacific Recording in San Mateo.
Mm.
Skip Spence got us up there. And, that's how we ended up eventually getting to Warner's the same year. And they liked what they heard on the tape, and they sent a couple of guys out, which was Lenny Waronker and Ted Templeman.
Mm.
And then we did our first record, which went Plywood. And then we kept at it because they didn't dump us. And we put out Toulouse Street after the first one.
Because when that first record came out, it wasn't the success as you point out there. Were you very disillusioned? Were you expecting success with?
I don't think anybody knew what to expect. We were all jazzed just because we made a record. That was a big deal, you know. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I guess
it was a big deal.
Going in to do the Toulouse track there, Toulouse Street, then it wouldn't have been
Toulouse track.
Toulouse track, yeah.
Toulouse to track.
Yeah. Going back in to do the Toulouse Street album, I guess there wouldn't have been any expectations then coming off the back of the first one.
We didn't know. We went in and started working on it with the same guy that produced / engineered the first one, and
I think we knew we were going in a better direction when we did that record. The first one was, I don't know.
It's just what it was. It was the first record. I mean, we didn't know what we were doing.
It was we knew we had a better band. We knew we had a more solid bass player. We knew we had a better rhythm section. We knew that the songs that we were working on were more, I don't know, more rock and roll.
In refrain Toulouse Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of was, we actually started it months earlier.
That's what I'm getting.
without a producer. We didn't really have a producer. We decided we were going to kind of try to produce it ourselves because Lenny Waronker and Ted Templeman, who had produced the first record, we played our new material for them, and they said, I think you guys need to keep working.
Go back to work.
Go back and write some more songs. And we said, no, we're ready to go, let's go. So they said, well, we think you should think a little more. And we said, no, give us a chance, and they said, okay, go, here's some money, go record some things yourself, which was like really amazing that they even thought about doing that to us at the time.
But you were laying down tracks in those days for that record that are legendary now. They're classic hits even today. Were you aware of the caliber of those songs at the time that you were recording them, or were they just other songs for you?
Which songs were we talking
about? Well, like I said, when we started, it was us at the helm, and we just recorded whatever we wanted, and we didn't really have any vision per se, other than just getting it.
Sure we did. It was just clouded, that's all.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a party in the studio. And actually we did get a couple of songs out of that, bunch of tunes, but not much.
Yeah.
And then when we did go back with and had Ted Templeman there with us, then we really started to get a handle on what we were doing and where we were going. And I think Ted had more of a vision than we did, really.
Well, we'd also written more songs by then, too.
But a song like Listen to the Music. You tell me about that day that it popped into your head. Was it one of those just, here it is?
It was actually that night, and I was noodling around in my bedroom in San Jose, which was something I did a lot, and I came up with that riff, and I got the chord changes to it, more or less, and I called him up at about 2 or 3 in the morning, woke him up, said, you gotta hear this, and played it for him over the phone. He said, well, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I said, probably kind of hard to tell at this point. And I said, no, this is going to be a single. And so he said, well, maybe. So we went down to LA and actually we pretty much kept the structure of the song. I didn't have the words yet, I don't think, which was usually the problem. I had licks but no words. And so,
I remember working on it in San Jose, in the basement.
yeah,
Just kind of like
trying to get a feel.
trying to get something going, and we kind of had to work the arrangement out, I think, and then we went down there and then we really, solidified it more. But we had a little bit of an idea at least where we're going, I think.
Yeah, we were stubborn about it too.
We did have the chorus. I remember we had the chorus.
Yeah.
We'll listen to music. That was
We
all,
did have that.
all we had, I think,
Okay.
by the time we got to the studio, and Tommy went and wrote the rest of it. I think probably after we got the track, maybe even. You kind of, I remember you having some
Some ideas.
melodic ideas and stuff.
Yeah.
Were you on a roll as a songwriter in those days? I mean, you're talking about songs like China Grove, Long Train Running. I mean, you wrote some.
Actually, Long
basic
Train
hits.
Running, we were already playing that at this point in clubs, but we didn't call it. It was called Osborne. It was also called Rosie Piggy Mosley. It was called a lot of things because it didn't have any words.
Yeah.
That was my biggest crime, was I would write a song and I wouldn't write words. So in that case, what we do is we play it and make up the words while we're playing. Every night, maybe different, or maybe I'd keep a phrase or something. That was one of those songs that happened with China Grove, I think. I got the idea for the down. I was sitting in the bedroom again, and I grabbed John and dragged him down to the basement at probably about midnight, 1 in the morning, and we were blasting away on it. But most songs for the band at that period especially, and afterwards later, until nowadays when everybody's gotten into the software and computers and stuff, you'd be able to develop things more, but you would just come in with a chord change. And like you said, sometimes we work some stuff out in the basement, and we get to LA, and then, Tyrone would come up with a bass part, Pat would come up with another guitar idea, Teddy'd have a lot of ideas. Drums in particular, but he'd have ideas for vocal things, and so they kind of got put together and built in the studio, after we had the chord changes figured out, and maybe a couple of ideas going in, but they would always get developed a heck of a lot more in the studio than when we got there. We never walked in with the song finished.
What about a song like South City Midnight Lady, one of my favourite Doobie Brothers songs? Was that a song that came fast to you?
I think so. I mean, you really, it was an overnight song, just kind of like the lyrics about, about kind of an overnight experience. And I remember, writing it late at night, and I probably worked most of the night on it, trying to put it together. And those are the days when, and I still do that, I still, a lot of times when I go on a roll with something, you just keep going, and suddenly, it's 3, 4 in the morning, and you're still working on it, or you've developed it. If you really get onto something that you feel good about, that's what happens. And I think that's kind of what happened with that. And those were the days before, I had any kind of a recording mechanism. I just, like Tom was saying, we basically wrote it with a guitar, and you had it, and you tried to remember what you had going, and that was kind of true with that too. I just basically kind of came up with the changes, and then I wrote the lyrics, and I think I probably got the first verse and the chorus, and then I probably ended up writing the second verse later on. But that's kind of how that came about. It was an overnight experience.
What about a song like Blackwater then?
That song probably took weeks to months to write. It's kind of like I had the riff for a long time, and I remember being in the studio maybe working on The Captain and Me, I think, and sitting out, waiting to overdub a part or to play a part on something, and I was and I had that little riff, and I wasn't even really thinking about it, just playing it, because we were trying to get a sound in the microphone. And I remember Ted saying, what is that? And I said, it's nothing. It's just something I've been playing. He goes, well, you should write a song using something like that. That's a cool riff. And so, really? Okay. And so then I carried it around with me for a long time, until I think we were down in New Orleans playing a bunch of shows at some point, you know, I think probably after the Captain and Me came out, and then we went down there, we played a bunch of shows. And, it seems like we did one of those Spinal Tap in-store appearances where no one showed up, you know, and those kind of things. We did a bunch of shows around the area, I remember that, and that's kind of, I can remember being there. I mean, the reason it sticks in my memory is because they had that cable car down there that takes you up to the Garden District. And it's on St. Charles Street. You get on that and it takes you uptown, they call it. And then I wrote that lyric about taking the streetcar going uptown. And I can remember riding on there and it was raining and the sun was shining, and that was kind of where that whole image came to me. So it took a long time actually to write the song. Probably I wrote it in bits and pieces here and there, but it probably solidified by the time we got down there and were playing regularly around down in the Deep South. That's where I really started to feel it. It came through. So.
I guess once we got to the latter end of the 70s, the whole dynamics of the band changed when Michael McDonald joined the group.
Well, 76 actually.
Yeah.
He joined in 75.
You'd been ill, hadn't you?
Well, that's why we brought him. I had an ulcer, and I had to take some time off the road. They brought Michael in because they had these gigs to do and stuff. And Michael brought in a lot of songs with him. And so that was right before, this is after Stampede and everything, so it was at that point, probably right before Take It to the Streets came about. So he brought all these songs with him, and that's what happened.
Mm.
We didn't really expect him to be a part of the band, so it was true that we kind of brought him in as a background singer. And we were kind of just trying to finish up this tour, and we need somebody to sing harmonies, and we thought, well, we don't really want to bring in another guitar player because, Tommy's going to come back, and we're going to, continue what we're doing, and then after it was done, then Tom was still kind of out for quite a while. And we had a deadline, basically. We had a space of time to work on a record. Ted said, now's the time. If you guys want to do a record, we have to get to work on it. What do you got? And I had, 3 or 4 songs, but, I didn't have enough songs really. And Tommy says, well, I got a couple songs, but I'm not sure, I'm not ready. And so we went in, I remember recorded a couple, 2 or 3 of my songs. And then we're sort of stopped, and I said, and I had been talking to Mike, I said, do you have any songs? And he said, well, because by that time we realized that he wrote, he sang, he was a talent. And so I said, Ted, this guy, maybe he's got some songs, I don't know how it's going to work, but it fits in with what we're doing. And he goes, Ted's going, I don't know, the identity, messing with the identity of the band, and I'm not sure, what's going on. And so at that point, we were just sort of fooling around, and I said, well, you should listen to his songs. If we don't use them, you should hear this guy, because I think he's really talented, he can really sing, and maybe there's a place for him at Warner Brothers, if he's not going to work with us, maybe you'll like what he does. So I kind of talent scouted for him, basically. So Ted heard Mike's stuff and he goes, I don't know if I could say holy shit, but holy bleep. Said, holy shit, this guy is really a talent.
Yeah.
You know what you have here? And I go, well, I'm not sure what we have because we're not sure where we're going with this thing yet. And so it turned out, Tommy kind of was ill for quite a while, and he ended up doing a solo record at the time, soon after that. And so we were sort of needed to do something, so we ended up using some of Mike's songs. In the end, it was like, they were great tunes that I don't think any of us ever foresaw, really, that he was going to be that much of a contribution to the band until after we were literally in the middle of it, and we went, wow, here we are doing this,
Yeah.
And there was a guy from, it's a good story, guy who was the head of promotion for Warner Brothers at the time says, what do you think you're doing? He comes up to me, we were playing in LA, he comes up to me and he says, what do you think you're doing? And I said, huh? He goes, who are you trying to kid with this guy, this Mike McDonald? I go, what are you talking about? I go, he's just helping us out. He's just playing, he's singing and playing some piano, and, we don't know what's going on. He goes, he was like bad-mouthing me, basically, that the band was screwed up and that was the end. He was telling me that was the end of our career and how dare we mess with the formula. And I was trying to tell him, we're not doing anything. We're just trying to make a living. It's not, we don't have a plan here. We're just out playing some dates. And really horrible. He was really terrible. I mean, he practically had me in tears because, we were very insecure. Tommy just left the band within really a couple of weeks. And we're just trying to finish up the dates on our tour. And so, of course, as time went by, he had to eat his words, and I don't know where he is these days. He doesn't work at Warner Brothers anymore.
He could have followed somebody else whose name still remained uncovered, and what we always used to say about him is he's face down in the gutter.
Well, I guess it did, from a fan perspective, it did split the fans as well, didn't it? I mean, once we got to the Taken to the Streets album, Turn It Loose was probably the last of the old Doobie Brothers sound, wasn't it?
I did go out and tour on that record, though. Yeah. I went out on the tour for that in the spring, and we had Memphis Horns and all that, so I was out for the pushing of that record. And then, there were people who absolutely hated that stuff, and there were people who really liked it, and that was a whole, I think the cool thing about that was that it brought in a whole new audience for the band. So, and then when I left the band in '77, I decided, I got to get off the road. I can't do this anymore for a while. I got to get away from it. And I did. I took a year off. I didn't do anything musically at all. And then I started fooling around again. Then I went and did a couple of solo albums. But that's when these guys, hit the mother load with the Grammy thing.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever regret not being on
Minute by Minute?
Yeah. Did you regret not being part of Minute by Minute?
No, because it was really great music and all, but I'd already done a solo album. I was out touring when these guys, in fact, I went to the Grammy party that night. I was playing a show in Bakersfield, and then we drove down to LA, and I went to the Grammy party right after they got all the Grammys. We had a good relationship. We still stayed friends and everything, and I was just off doing my thing, and they were doing their thing, and I was happy doing what I was doing, so I was fine with it.
What about the Wildlife concert? That was 10 years ago, and that was sort of like, that was everyone. That was Michael coming back and performing with you again. Was that one big happy family when that event
Well, he wasn't there for the actual, most of it was done in New York in Sony Studios, and done live in Sony Studios. And then when we were in Nashville, that's when Michael came and met up with us, and we did the stuff with him.
And it all just fitted in together? Because
it worked great.
We had a lot of fun. It was
a kick.
That was really a great opportunity for us, in so many ways. I mean, it was a great opportunity to do something positive and raise some money for a good cause, but it was also a great opportunity for us to actually do, a really technically great recording. We had, being able to do it in Sony Studios with the technology they have there, and with a great soundstage, be in one place we were there 3 days. We did a day of just setting up and practicing and playing, and then we did 2 nights of actual recording. If we screwed it up, we could go back and do it again.
And we did. We did go back and do it a couple of times.
It was really a great way to record, a live performance, real controlled. They had a really cool set, all that visual stuff helps too, especially when you're doing a visual presentation. So, it was really a good thing. We had a good producer, Charlie Midnight, was in there looking out for us, and good engineer and stuff. And so, it was really neat. It was a good thing. We had a great band. We had Cornelius Bumpus was back playing with us at that time, and he was really great. He had a couple background singers that were, friends of ours that came in and sang some backgrounds, and just a
you know, a fun, pretty relaxed, I think, by the time we actually got out there and were playing.
Mm.
And a lot of the people that came, you know, there were friends that we knew around New York, and then some, you know, some music people from that were friends of the people putting the show together and stuff. And so it was a real, you know, they were really up for it, and just you know, really came together well. And then we got, you know, nice interviews. I think everything about it was really well done.
Will there be more shows with Michael?
We play shows with
We
Michael
do.
every year, pretty much. But I mean, they're not public shows in the sense, they're usually corporate shows. That's not to say that won't ever happen again, but I'm just saying that's generally what we've done. We're going to be playing a show with Michael in San Francisco, but once again, it's a corporate show.
I'm sure, you know, we'll do some shows from time to time. We kind of let Michael go his own way. He's got his own career. This is kind of the other Doobies that we have, that we present. He really, I think, feels better about, you know, where he's at and the kind of thing he's doing right now. He likes being in charge. He likes being able to tour and work when he wants to.
Got a nice deal with Motown. Things are
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, he's got really his own thing happening, and I think he enjoys that and likes kind of where he's at. This is the, you know, the rockin' Doobie Brothers that we started out with. This is more like the original kind of thing that we started, and that's sort of the road we've set for ourselves.
The fun Doobies.
Well, you know, that was fun too. You know, it was
Yeah.
great. But this is a different thing. It's more of a guitar band, I think.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, with Mike, it was very much more keyboard and a little. It wasn't, you know, progressive jazz or anything, but it was more that kind of an approach, a little more cool jazz kind of thing, and that's what he likes to do. And I think that, you know, in some ways, that it works. And I know it works better for both of us, you know, because I don't think we're in that going that direction right now, and that's really more the direction he likes. So at this point, we just do some shows from time to time. It's more of a fun thing, and I'm sure we'll do some things together because, you know, mainly if we need Mike, you know, we're going to do a fundraiser, we want to, you know, something of that nature. You know, it's no problem calling him. You go, oh yeah, sure, whatever you need, you know, I'm there. And that's more the kind of relationship we have at this point. We're good friends, and you know, we call on him when we need him.
Let me ask you about another ex-member of the band, Jeff Skunk Baxter, and you fill me in on this story because I don't know whether it's true or not.
Probably
could
not.
be urban legend, but Jeff working for the American government as a war advisor.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
So I guess it's what's happening. I don't know. I have no idea.
You know,
That's an unusual job to
it's
go
hard
from a
because
Doobie Brother to
I
a...
got to tell you, anything I would say about it would be kind of derogatory. So I'm not sure that I really want to go there. You know, I don't buy it. Number one. Number two. If our government leaders are listening to Jeff Baxter for their advice on our national security, then our country is really in trouble. You know what I mean? Because we have experts that dedicate their whole lives, their whole education, their whole life and soul to national security. You know, just because a guy knows how to play a wah-wah pedal doesn't mean he knows, you know, anything about missiles. Excuse me, but that's all I want to say.